game sucks kind of thing, but I mean, it's whatever. I know that you have only just returned, but I need to ask you something. Will you help X and carry out the missions? It is my job. I am a maverick hunter. I have been away for a while, but I am ready to fight for peace. So now we've got Zero. He's got his own equip screen. Yeah. So the next Reploid, or Maverick we're going to take down is Shield Sheldon in the Laser Institute, and we're going to be doing that as Zero. Alright, so this is Zero. He's been updated since he was in X4 and 5. First of all, he's got the double jump right out of the gate. You don't need to unlock that. He's also got the spin slash right out of the gate. You don't need to unlock that either. The only thing with the spin slash is you need to double jump to get it. There's normal jump slash, and then you double jump, then you get the spin slash. Then you get, this is a triple slash combo. Instead of slashing, you know, downward, and then across, and then downward, I think it was. In X4 and 5, he goes across, and then across again, but on a downward angle, and then all the way up, like an upward slash. So it's kind of different. It's also got the Z-Buster, which is a lot better than it was in X4 and 5. Actually, no, I don't even think it was in X4. So yeah, that's Zero's update. He's also just got a new sprite in general. Like his, you know, hands, like the way he just poses is a little bit different. His arms, mainly. Alright, these shield enemies, Z-Buster can actually penetrate their shield if you stand right in front of them. That's what I'm doing there. Oh baby, he's shooting at me. Shoot. Hey. Alright. Alright, so this right here is called Saber or Slash. Each one would fit. Dash cancel. Alright, so when you dash, you can slash and it cancels the dash immediately. Alright, so slash and then you dash, slash dash, slash dash. So what if you mash both buttons at the same time? You get this, you just, you know, slash a lot, because the dash also cancels the slash, as you can see. Just in the middle of slashing and then you dash. So if you just mash both at the same time, like really, really fast, you just pretty much slash repeatedly. And I'm going to be using that to take down Shield Sheldon. Some people may call it cheesing, you know, whatever. But you'll see Shield Sheldon's pattern later in this video series, I'm sure. Because it's not going to be just one playthrough, it's going to be multiple playthroughs. So there you go. Shield Sheldon's dead now. And yeah, I am going to do multiple playthroughs of this game in this series. One is going to be centered around, you know, just looking at everything. I'm basically going to be doing like my speedrun route. But, you know, not taking it so seriously with this playthrough. I'm also going to be doing like an X playthrough. Unarmored X, of course. And, you know, talk about a lot more things. About how people say this game's impossible with Unarmored X. But actually, it's not hard at all. So, yeah. So here's another cutscene. I have a report. Another investigator has been beaten. Blast. That old robot is tenacious. You are quite right, sir. Especially that red Reploid. Zero has outstanding performance. I believe he will cause problems for us if we don't take measures now. I'm no longer interested in Zero. High Max will defeat Zero before long. There is no doubt it will be easy for High Max. But we'd better make a move just in case. Isaac, I have been thinking about that. You're obsessed with Zero, aren't you? No, no, I'm not. Then leave that old robot and focus on the experiment. Yes, sir. I'm doing just that. It's going smoothly and effectively. We achieved 99.98% success rate by now. So I assume the experiment is done. Then it's time for the next phase. It's going to be fun, I suck. I'm sure, sir. Keep an eye on those two Maverick hunters. I shall obey your orders. Alright, so there you go. Okay, so who do we take down next? Let me explain the nightmare system real quick. I visited Shield Sheldon's stage, and Shield Sheldon gives off a nightmare effect to 2 stages. That's basically how every stage operates. There's like one stage that affects 2 other stages, and I think there's one stage that affects 3 stages. So Shield Sheldon has a nightmare effect of creating soul bodies, or like virus clones of the opposite player character. So if you're playing as X, you get a soul body clone virus of 0 that spawns frequently and chases you and does damage. And if you're playing as 0, it's a soul body clone virus of X that frequently, runs around and tries to, do damage to you. The only way to get rid of these nightmare effects is by resetting the nightmare effect in that stage. So, for example, Shield Sheldon affects Blizzard Wolfang. Another stage also affects Blizzard Wolfang, and that is Blaze Heatnix. So the only way to get rid of the Soul Body X guys is to visit Blaze Heatnix. And Heatnix also affects Maginian stage. So, it's kind of a strategical route that you go through the game to get as less amount of, negative nightmare effects as you want, or as, you'd like. In this, playthrough, I'm probably going to be getting a few. By probably, I mean I already know that I'm getting a few. A lot of people say that this is random, and the nightmare system is completely random, and there's no controlling it. And that's not true whatsoever. That's just a completely, bold-faced lie. This is completely static. It's not like Shield Sheldon will randomly affect Turtleoid or Maginian or, Scaravitch or Yamark. It's not random at all. It's completely static, and the only people will say it's random if they don't play the game more than 5 minutes. And it's like when I was a child, I knew it wasn't random. I just played the game more than 5 minutes. That's my only thing I can say there. So second of all, I'm going to be heading on over to Infinity Maginian, the Weapons Center. I'm going to be doing that at 0. So Infinity Maginian gives off a nightmare effect to Rainy Turtleoid and Commander Yamark, and that nightmare effect is probably the most hated nightmare effect, for a good reason. I'll agree with that one. But yeah, here we go. That's Illumina! I thought the project to construct that huge Reploid was suspended. You are in the Weapons Center. They have been constructing powerful weapons without the appropriate approvals. As you notice, it's Illumina. Considering that I couldn't pick up any reading of its activation, it must be a nightmare. There have to be cables which are sending energy to Illumina. Find and destroy them. Good luck. So yeah, this nightmare effect that this will give off... Actually, I'm going to talk about this. I'll talk about the nightmare effect, because we're going to be seeing that later in the playthrough. Alright, so this is Guard Shell. We got this from Shield Sheldon. Basically, this is just one big glitch. Guard Shell's effect, I guess you could say, is to deflect projectiles. I'm gonna try to... Yeah, there we go. These little bird things are shooting green things. I'm trying to get... Yeah, so there you go. Shooting off little Guard Shell pellets. Deflects shots and then shoots off a Guard Shell shot. But with 0, it's got one other thing. It negates all invincibility frames, sort of an attack. I say invincibility frames, and... Oh, I died. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't know what an invincibility frame is, and I'm going to try to explain it. I mean, it's a pretty common term, but I'm going to try to explain any lingo as much as I can. An invincibility frame basically is when you attack something, it's invincible for a little bit, or when you take damage, you know, you got that, you flash a little bit, you can walk through enemies kind of thing. Basically, what this kind of does is it doesn't necessarily negate invincibility frames of, like, your opponent, but it negates invincibility frames of your attack. So, for example, like, normally my attack would only do damage once per, like, slash. Like, I do slash, slash, slash would do 3 hits. And each, you know, hit, assuming the enemy had no invincibility frames, would do, like, 1, 1, and 2 damage. However, guard shell, you can just, like, your attack, as long as it's in the enemy, and the enemy isn't taking an invincibility frame, it will take damage per frame. And to explain even further, I only have 288, okay. To explain even further, a frame is, like, every time the game refreshes. So that, in this game's case, that would be every, like, 1/60th of a second. This game runs at 60 frames per second. So, like, a frame would be a 60th of a second. So a very, very fast period of time. So basically, you do, like, 60 hits per second. I guess you could say, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Well, sort of. Like, your attack won't be in the enemy's hitbox for all 60 frames. It'll only be there for, like, maybe 20 frames. You'll be seeing more of that later. So I'm going to try to take down this boss here. This boss is another huge, you know, hate point to the game. I can understand it. It's a pretty tough boss. Like, I died. I kind of had low health going in, and he gave me a really bad pattern, so. This boss is pretty difficult, and it's really difficult to read his movement. If you play the game enough, like I have, you can pretty much reliably read his movement and react accordingly without too much difficulty. I would relate this boss to, like, Bow Spider and X1, to where, like, its difficulty is hard to read, but if you just play the game enough, you know, you can just, you know, reliably know what's going on every time you play the game. And that's like this for me. I could explain this guy in great detail, but I think I'm not going to do that just yet. I attacked him with the Z-Buster. That, like, instead of the Saber will always make him, like, fling back to the wall. And then that will, like, you know, make him run around and do other patterns. But if you use the Buster, you know, it'll take, like, 2 or 3 hits before he flings back to the wall and does another pattern. So that way you can get more hits per second, I guess, and, you know, do ultimately more damage and more damage faster. Alright, so this is where we get the Ray Arrow. We're not going to be paying attention to these X moves yet. Okay, to save. Since this playthrough is going to be mainly 0 based,